Is the OnePlus Nord N100 worth buying in 2022? Well, in this video, we're going to find out. Hi everyone, this is Kevin here, and this is the OnePlus Nord N100. Now this phone was originally launched in November of 2020, so at this point, this device is well over a year old. Now despite that, the phone has continued to receive updates, and since being launched, this device has been very popular at the various prepaid carriers in the US. The phone has also since gotten a successor model known as the OnePlus Nord N200. Now, despite all that, this phone is still very relevant in the sense that a lot of people own it and it is still being sold. So I figured I'd make this video to look back on it to see if this phone is still a decent option worth considering at this point. Now with the OnePlus Nord N100, the device features a 6.52-inch display. So despite being a lower-end budget option by OnePlus, you're still getting a very large canvas here to view content. Whether that's browsing the web, social media, text messages, whatever it is, having a larger display does work out in your favor because it is a lot easier to look at everything that's on the actual screen itself. Now this device features an IPS LCD display. It is a 720p display. We're getting a PPI of 269, a 20:9 aspect ratio, so a more narrow but taller form factor, which is pretty consistent with most of the smartphones that have been launched within the last several years, and we're getting an 82.9% screen-to-body ratio. Now, despite this display being 720p, things do still look pretty decently crisp and clear here, and colors are not too bad as well. Viewing angles are also pretty acceptable too, and in general, this phone doesn't look or feel cheap. Now, compared to a $1,000 smartphone, for example, this definitely doesn't feel quite as premium. But for what it is, I feel like it is a very good quality product. Now, as far as the front panel goes, we do have a little bit of a thicker bottom bezel here, but we do have a hole punch for the 8-megapixel front-facing camera. So in general, I think the phone features a pretty decent design, and it certainly is practicality-minded. Now, with the OnePlus Nord N100, we have 64 gigabytes of internal storage and microSD card expansion. Now, 64 gigs of internal storage for an entry-level phone like this one certainly is pretty generous there. And then adding in a microSD card will allow you to offload various photos and videos to even free up more of that internal storage. So in general, I think OnePlus made some great decisions here when it comes to the storage of the device. Now with the OnePlus Nord N100, there is no wireless charging, but we do have a fingerprint sensor on the back of the phone. So we'll give that a try right now. There we go, one more time. So pretty decently fast, maybe not the quickest out there ever, but at least it does work and is reliable. In addition to that, the phone does support Face Unlock, so I appreciate that we do have multiple methods for accessing the phone. Now, taking a look at the camera modules on the back of the device, we do get a triple camera setup here with a 13-megapixel main camera, a 2-megapixel macro camera, and a 2-megapixel depth sensing camera to assist with portrait mode. And this phone does feature portrait mode for both the rear and front cameras, which is definitely very appreciated because I know portrait mode is a very popular feature. Now taking a look at the actual camera app itself, here's how things look through the main camera. Then from here we can switch over to video, and we can take 1080p video with both the front and rear cameras. We can also head over to the More tab, and over here we can access macro mode, which lets us take very close-up images while retaining a lot of detail. In general, we don't have a ton of different camera features, so it is pretty bare bones, but for an entry-level phone like this one, that is to be expected. But at least for the tasks that you'd be doing most commonly, things are pretty good here, and the quality is at least acceptable. Now, we do get portrait mode, of course, as I mentioned a bit ago, for both the rear and front cameras, so that definitely does work very well, and up to the level that you'd expect from a lower-end smartphone. So if you are someone that just casually takes photos and videos with their device, maybe it's not something that you do for your business, for example, then I feel like this will be good enough. But maybe if you are someone who is constantly taking pictures for social media and you use the camera app more than any other app in your phone, then there is quite a bit to be desired here. And if you are one of those people, then it might be worth justifying spending quite a bit more on a smartphone with much better cameras. But again, for what we're getting here and for what this phone is, I'm pretty happy with the quality. Now internally here with the phone, we're getting 4 gigabytes of RAM paired up with the Qualcomm Snapdragon 460 processor. Now 4 gigs of RAM for an entry-level device is actually pretty impressive. And then the Qualcomm Snapdragon 460 isn't that great, but it is at least good enough for a phone like this one. Now, I did run a benchmark test using Geekbench 5, and I recommend running this test on your current phone so you can compare your scores to these scores. But essentially, I got a single core score of 251 and a multi-core score of 1172. So certainly not the fastest device out there or the most powerful for that matter, but to do simple tasks like phone calls, text messages, browsing the web, occasional social media, it is at least good enough for that. Now, as far as battery capacity goes with the OnePlus Nord N100, we're getting a 5,000 milliamp hour internal battery, paired up with the ability to fast charge at up to 18 watts. So this phone offers some insane battery life, especially for a lower end device. So if you are someone that's tired of your phone constantly running out of battery, then I feel like you will be pretty impressed here with the OnePlus Nord N100. And then being able to recharge the phone at a pretty rapid rate at 18 watts is yet another added bonus here with the device. Now, as far as software goes, we are getting OnePlus's skin laid over Android, but the phone has since gotten an update from Android 10 to Android 11 since I did get it. Now, I have no idea if, when, or ever the OnePlus Nord N100 will get Android 12. Android 12 already has been out for a little bit now, so having this phone be updated to Android 11 really isn't anything to brag about. It certainly is better, though, than it being stuck at Android 10, but I really hope that we get Android 12 sooner rather than later. Now, this phone, unfortunately, does not feature NFC, so if you do like to use NFC to make mobile contactless payments, then just know that you can't do it here with this device. But now that we've talked about a variety of the different features that we're getting with the OnePlus Nord N100, let's talk a bit more about the hardware. Now, this phone, despite it being a lower end device, does feel of decent quality. It certainly doesn't feel premium, but at the same time, it doesn't feel cheap. Now, it is made completely out of plastic, besides the display, which is glass, and you can see here that the finish on the back of the phone is kind of this glossy, matte finish, and I'm a big fan of that. It does still pick up some fingerprints, but not nearly at the level of a device that features a glossy back. So in general, I'm pretty happy with it. Now, taking a look at the right side of the phone, we have the power button, and that's it. Then on the left side of the phone, we have the slot for the SIM card and microSD card expansion, volume up and volume down. Then up top here, we just have the noise canceling microphone. And then on the bottom of the phone, we have the 3.5mm headphone jack, microphone, USB-C port for charging and data transfer, and the speaker. And then on the back of the phone, we have the triple camera setup here with the flash. We have the OnePlus logo, and we have the fingerprint sensor. So in general, this is a pretty entry-level phone from OnePlus, but despite that, I feel like it still does have some decent capabilities, and if you don't spend too much on it, then I feel like it is a good option worth considering. But that really is what it comes down to, is how much you can get this for, and also what other options you could consider in comparison. Now, I know that at many of the carriers, for a period of time, they were giving this phone away if you're switching in from another carrier. So more likely than not, if you do end up getting the phone, you're probably not going to be paying the full MSRP for it. And that's certainly not a bad thing. But again, it really depends on what other phones are out there and if you can get those devices for a better price, or if this is the best, most affordable option available, because the budget smartphone segment certainly is very competitive. But this is the OnePlus Nord N100 in 2022. Definitely curious to know what you think about the device, and let me know in the comments section below. And if you own this phone, I'm really curious to know how your experience has been with it. Are you satisfied with your purchase, or do you wish that you went with something else instead? I definitely want to know. But I hope you enjoyed the video. This is Kevin here, and have a great rest of your day.